Good afternoon, everyone. Mario Quintero here with our weekly happy hour Facebook Live show, discussing all kinds of topics regarding the mortgage and real estate industry. And today we're going to do an open line Thursday. And I've jotted down several questions that have come up during the last week. And I'm going to ask the question and then I'm going to respond to the question. So hope everyone's doing well, staying safe, and looking forward to the reopening up of our lives. This has been a real hectic situation, and hopefully the worst is behind us and better days ahead. So let's get started. The first question is, are lending regulations still tight? Is the lending mortgage business still tight? And the answer is yes. It's still tight regarding guidelines and credit scores. And the overlays are still there, meaning that additional guidelines have not been taken away by the lenders. The only place that we've seen a little loosening up is in those cases that the borrowers have a 700 plus credit score. Those have eased up slightly, but everywhere else it's still tight, and now not major changes have occurred since this whole situation started. So what is, this person asked me because they heard it, on the news and stuff like that. The question is, what is the problem with wholesale liquidity? So the bottom line on that question is that wholesalers that fund the loans on the retail side of the mortgage business, right now their liquidity is very tight, meaning that they're not able to sell loans that they have in their pipeline because they, in most cases, now have to wait for 6 months before they sell those loans, so they won't get hit with an early payoff of the loan if the loan were to go into foreclosure or default, or a forbearance situation can also trigger a default. So that is the reason why the wholesale side is having problems with reducing their guidelines, because if they don't have new funds coming in, they don't have new funds going out to fund some other loans. And in some cases, those are called warehouse lines, or basically just a rotation of them selling the loans which they normally sell once a month. They sell bundles of loans once a month. They get their money back, and then they start closing on new loans the following month. That part of the mortgage business right now is the liquidity part, and that is still tight. Credit score minimums, are they still high? Yes. The minimums on credit scores for all different type of loans is still kind of high. FHA is still somewhere between 640 and 680. Usually it's between 580 and 620. So that's a big difference, and especially for a first-time home buyer who is trying to qualify for an FHA loan, that's a big difference. So on the other side of the conventional, so they're looking for 700 plus. Normally 640 to 699, we could do those loans all day. And right now, those guidelines have not changed. We are still closing some that have to close, and it's going to cost the borrower some money in the form of origination to be able to get the pricing they need. But, right now it is still tight, and the credit scores are still unchanged regarding the different type of loans. And we classify those by government loans, conventional loans, foreign national loans. Then there's the jumbo loans, and then there's the super jumbo loans, and then there's the reverse mortgages. The one that has been least affected right now is the reverse mortgage loans. So what's going on with cash out refinances? So right now, that's not a good one. Cash out refinances are still tight. the banks want to reduce their risk as far as the borrower taking out additional equity from their property. And that, as of today, is still a tight situation. And we hope that in the next week or so, that will begin to ease up a little bit. Once the liquidity problem is fixed on the wholesale side, a lot of these guidelines will probably be reduced. And at the same time, the easing of the processing of these loans will also improve. So, once again, we stay in touch with our clients. We give them options every week as to what they can do. And in most cases, we have to wait. We have to wait. And right now, patience is probably the number one thing if people want to secure the best program for their current situation. And keep in mind that every borrower is different and their circumstances are different, their objectives are different, their credit scores are different, their capacity to borrow money is different. And a lot of this has to do with them being employed, the lenders lowering their risk, and then us being able to move that loan forward. So the next question is, has underwriting gotten any tighter as a result of the current situation? Yes, we are experiencing duplication of requests of information from the underwriters. It's like they requested this week, then they add an additional request next week, and it's a little frustrating, but we're getting through it. The other thing about the underwriting is that they're actually doing verifications of employment twice. They're verifying the employment of the borrowers during the process of the mortgage, and then they're actually doing the verification of employment the day of closing. And if it's a refinance, they're verifying employment again for the third time before the loan funds. So yes, underwriting guidelines have tightened up. We explain this to all our borrowers and let them know, look, if you have a change in employment, reduction of hours, they cut you down from 5 days to 3 days, whatever it is, we need to know, because these can have an impact on whether we go to the end and then they verify the employment and it's not the same hours we started with, we could run into a problem. So we rather, take care of it before it becomes an emergency. So that's why the open lines of communication with the borrowers is very important on a regular basis. Next question is, when it comes to reverse mortgage, how is the senior protected regarding the reverse mortgage? Well, first of all, seniors are part of a protected class within the United States government. That's number one thing. Number two is that when a senior goes to do a reverse mortgage, they are required to do a counseling over the phone, which usually takes between 45 to 60 minutes, more or less. And both the husband and wife, if it's a couple, they both have to do the counseling. And that counseling is with a HUD-approved counseling agency. We go over a book with them, which is about 32 pages long, large print. But we go over that book with them. We ask them to read it on their own, and then we go over any questions they may have. And we are the ones that prepare them for that counseling session. They go through that counseling session, and the main purpose of that counseling is several. One, the agency wants to make sure that those seniors are clear of mind, that they understand fully what they're getting into. Number two, they want to make sure that no one is forcing them into doing the reverse mortgage, whether it's a family member, a child, a nephew, a daughter. They want to make sure that they're doing this at free will. And the third thing is that they're going to go over the exact numbers that we explained to them in their proposals. They want to make sure that that matches. So whatever it is that we gave to the senior as far as a proposal, we need to submit that to the counseling agency, and that counselor will go over the same numbers and re-explain everything to the senior all over again. So these are the reasons why counseling is important. Right now, I think they're charging about $140, which the senior pays directly to the agency with a credit card. It's done in English or in Spanish. The materials are both in English or in Spanish, and we explain it in either language. So that is one of the key parts regarding that question as to how the senior is protected before they do a reverse mortgage. They're also protected after they close on a reverse mortgage because a reverse mortgage is insured by FHA, so that they're protected that the terms that they received on that reverse mortgage from the day that they closed, those terms will never change for the life of the loan. And in addition to that, not only is the senior protected, but their heirs are protected. So the heirs will never inherit a debt. So if there's equity left in the property when the seniors pass away, then the heirs will have the opportunity to sell the house. And at closing, whatever equity is left, the heirs will divide that amongst themselves equally based on the estate planning documents that are available at the time. We do have a discussion with the seniors about estate planning documents so that the heirs don't run into a situation at the end when they've expired. So there's a lot of protective mechanism for the seniors when it comes to a reverse mortgage. And again, we try to be as in-depth as possible in explaining everything that they need to know, answer all their questions. We're very patient with the senior class because this is the last major financial decision that they will make, and we respect that, and we are available to answer all those questions. So those are the questions that we were asked that I thought I would share with you, the question and the answer. If you guys that are listening today think that today's show brings value to somebody you may know beside yourself, feel free to share this video with your friends and family on Facebook. If not, if anyone has any questions, feel free to give me a call, 305-588-0451. And at the office, 305-598-1600, as we get ready to go back to the office in the very near future on a regular basis. So stay safe. Welcome back to your freedom pretty soon. This has been a great experiment as to what communism would be like. And I hope that you all stay safe and stay well. Talk to you soon. We'll see you next week. Bye.